Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Play Mass Effect Revolution. This is session number 6, and let us get right into the thick of things and talk about our warm-up question. So, I would like to sort of peek into the minds of each of the characters and get a little bit of a sense of what their personal thoughts are with the whole revenophage situation.
I can go first.
Sure. Do you have any strong opinions, Vito?
Oh my god. Yeah, he does. Um, he's terrified, honestly. Of all that's happened, I mean, what he saw in the tanks is something horrible. Like, for someone who has been, like, before decided to go in history and archaeology, was supposed to become a geneticist. Someone who was supposed to keep those kinds of things from happening. It's it's terrifying to him to know that if they hadn't been there, also his whole species could have been doomed. Like, would he have doomed his whole species just by not being there at that very moment? And uh thinking that stuff like that is karma after so much Silurians, after the genophage and everything, after so much Solarians actually tried to right the wrongs and tried to find a cure for the genophage, and then for some Krogans to feel such strong emotions about that as to actually make some sort of a counter genophage, the revenophage, to get back at them. It's, yeah, Vito's not really liking having to think about that right now.
Do you blame them?
No,
You don't blame them. Okay. Why?
because for Vito, it's understandable. He can't really blame them for being angry at something that happened in the past, because it's still fresh for them. They're still living it, and did even with the cure, they're still having troubles actually having children. And yeah, Vito's understanding that sometimes you can't just do like Solarians do and just get over it in a matter of days.
How humane of you to say that.
I wonder why.
Mm-hmm. I think you just proved my point. Okay.
So, I guess Nathan is biased against the whole karma thing. Largely because, as much as he understands that, the Turians implemented it and they were the ones who went to Chonka, you know, took this foothold and held it for long enough for the shroud to be built and all that stuff, he's felt like the galaxy as a whole, not just, one particular species, is to blame for the lack of upkeep, for the lack of help and assistance provided to the Krogan in the following 2,000 years post the Genophage. Does he blame the Krogan for what they did? Well, not the Krogan generally, but Drac and Kesh for what they did. He can't find it in his own head to rationalize why he could blame them for wanting to rebel, for wanting to get even, for lack of a better term. Half of his culture's history is rebelling and fighting and being a thorn in the side of one of the biggest empires in Earthen history. He can totally understand from a cultural perspective of his own, from his own history, on Ireland, why the Krogan feel that they need to show up and revenge and develop things that can provide revenge, because for the longest time, in fact even to this day, 102 years after the Irish rebellions, we're still dealing with it here today in today's world. So what I often wonder is, how would it feel, instead of 300 years underneath a thumb, for 2,000 years underneath something that you can't even contemplate fixing, that has no known cure, no known way to fix. And then, moving on from that, because, it's not a topic I overly enjoy talking about. Nathan feels like the Krogan, he believes in what he said at the speech. He believes that the Krogan need to discover more of themselves, to find themselves, their culture. There's a saying in Irish history that says, let the people sing. What would the Krogan sing if you said to let them sing? Nothing. They don't really have music in their culture. So he finds that quite sad, actually. So he wants them to rebuild, to be better than what they are, and to prove to the galaxy that they can be more than just meat, essentially. And that's my 2 cents.
Okay. Who's next?
Do you want to go next, or shall I? Oh, okay, so I should go. So Dia's thoughts on this is that that she definitely sympathizes and understands what's going on with the Krogan. She still thinks keep them in Ard's Rest. Like, yeah, I feel bad for them, but they did try to attack it and take over an entire galaxy. So, but all this damage and destruction was needless. And at the end of the day, Dia is more concerned about the victims than anything, right? Dia's like focus from that event and like onward was mainly on the Solarian kids who were in those testing tubes who got infected with this virus and who are dying very quickly because of it. And so Dia, like, thinking of like the Krogan flights and all that, it's not really a first thing that pops up in Dia's head, partly because she's more focused on the kids.
Dia is no stranger to feeling like people have wronged him. And no stranger to having some pent-up anger over things that happened to him in the past. So do you think that that justifies anything?
Well, Dia is all about context of what's going on, what's happening. Prior events in which she showcased her anger, context was, in his mind, his mom was already dead. Here, these kids are going to die because of the actions of those two Krogan. And so, like, for her, on the way to morality, she's more okay with killing her family over that situation than what the Krogan did with these children. Because children are innocents. Like, for Dia, when she weighs something, she weighs it on, like, context and morality and all that, by her own standards. So, do with that what you will.
It's not the what, it's the why.
Yeah, it's the why.
Very Halacer of you.
The thing Gimmick thinks about this topic is that usually the organics, or at least the non-robot forms of life, tend to think of things as in they only have two ways of going, like binary, good or bad, or like if you're not my friend, you're my enemy, things like that. So instead of trying to solve things in like a nuanced way of thinking, they just okay, they did something bad to me, I have to do the same thing to them, or I don't do anything. It's like yeah, why it wants to understand why is that a thing that they try to like answer in the same way or answer doing nothing. Or it's like they don't try to solve the same problem in other ways. So yeah, that's what the gimmick is concerned about.
What does Gimmick think should happen to the test subjects in the tanks if it were up to it?
Well, there is a chance that they could survive, and Gimmick was in a similar position where it was like killed and it stayed in like stasis for a while, and then someone revived him. So and it's all right. It doesn't have any problem right now. So and it's grateful that whoever revived him. So if there is any chance that those kids inside the stasis pod would be able to come out and live like he's doing right now, it would be he would like to try it. So yeah, that's the thing.
Gimmick said something in a previous session about how organics have a tendency of treating other organics as tools, and then once those tools have served their purpose, they just throw them away. Do you think that has anything to do with Gimmick's attitude in the situation, or do you feel the two are unrelated?
Yeah, it has to do with that thing that when you're interacting with others, with people that are alive, if you're not looking for something of them, they don't have use, so you throw them away. But of not thinking that in that way, of if you want to treat people equally and such. Yeah, I don't know how to express it, but the thing is that people tend to say something and then are acting in a different way of what they say. So yeah, I'm going through the. I'm not making a point here, but yeah, it thinks the same. It has to do something with what you say.
I also had a follow-up question for Vito. So Vito, you have noticed that the Krogans are starting to become progressively more and more intelligence-focused as of late. So Kesh was able to come up and research that Revenophage on her own, probably with other Krogans as well, without any help from the Solarians. And I guess my question is, in general, do you think that Krogans becoming less simple-minded, because the galaxy, for the most part, sees Krogans as, the muscle and not necessarily the brains of the galaxy, do you think that Krogans becoming more intelligent, more inventive, is a good or bad thing in general?
I guess
Given the situation right now.
If this whole thing hadn't happened, Vito would have been really. He would have thought it would be a good thing. He would have thought that this would have helped the Krogan. I can't word it. This would have helped the Krogan, belong in a way.
Mm-hmm.
This would have helped them integrate better to the galactic society. Considering this, though, Vito's thoughts might have changed. He's He's not in the right headspace. He's thinking this might get dangerous if any other Krogan wishes to continue whatever Kesh was doing.
So Vito right now. Go ahead.
The Revenophage could mutate, could become more dangerous, could become harder to track or to discover.
Okay. So it sounds like, at least as of right in this moment, Vito feels more comfortable if Krogans remained more simple-minded and less knowledgeable of things.
Yeah.
Okay. Honest answer. Which I think is very interesting, considering that Solarians in general value knowledge very highly. So that is very cool and interesting. Let us jump right into where we last left off. And if you remember, the very last thing that happened was Gimmick ran a scan on Vito's blood sample to find out the results of whether or not he was affected by the Revenophage. And then, yeah, Gimmick just discovered the big secret.
Okay, so I run the scans and there are good news. You are not contaminated. Well, you are contaminated, but you are not infected by the virus. I mean, you are infected, but it seems that the virus is not doing any effects on your life form. So that's good news.
How? I suppose you wouldn't have no way of knowing why that is. Maybe it just didn't work the way they intended it to.
It's working the way it's intended. I mean, they made it to target Solarians, but it seems that you are not truly with full Solarian, it seems.
What?
Yeah.
Gimmick, I appreciate you trying to lighten up the mood. But I don't really feel in the mood for jokes.
Oh, well, why do you think I'm joking? It's what the result of the sample say.
Look at me. I am just as Solarian as you can get. This is...
Well,
just
look at me. I'm a VI and I still looks like... I'm an AI and I still look like a VI.
It's not entirely the same. It's easy to change shapes in this way. Well, no offense, but you are a bunch of data. You can change whatever you wish to look like in drone form.
I mean, you used to look like a human yesterday.
I suppose. That was a disguise, though. Physically, I haven't changed. Physically, I was raised on Sir Kesh. I'm sorry. This was not a good joke.
Why? I still don't understand. Why do you think this is a joke?
It's unbelievable.
Oh, but that's something different. I mean, you can believe something doesn't make it a joke. This is a thing. And you will have to learn it and understand more of it if you want to not have problems with it.
You can show me?
Yeah, I guess I could show you what the results are. And yeah, we'll open up a screen and show you the blood sample and how it would look.
So he will show you the diagnostics, and it'll show you all of the chemical levels and protein, blah, 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 blah. But you'll go through it, and then certain roll of medicine. Okay. You know basics. You know some slight basics on Solarian biology to know that a lot of the levels in your blood test seem to be normal, except there are some parts of it that looks a bit off to you, but you don't think it has anything necessarily to do with the ravenophage. And then when you look at the bottom line, it seems to indicate that for whatever reason, half of the DNA in your blood sample is Solarian, but the other half is human.
Vito's going to stay silent for a moment, opening his mouth and closing it like he's going to say something, but he just...
Do you seem to be in stress? Do you?
The sample had to be contaminated. We were... Nathan was shot, right? Maybe some of his blood got mixed with mine.
Why? Why are you in disbelief?
Because it makes no sense!
Well, it makes sense if you start to think about it. There are a lot of possibilities of why this could be a thing.
I would know, right? I would have known if something like that was a thing.
Would you prefer to be contaminated with the virus or the biochemical weapon?
I never said I would.
Well, this is a good thing then.
I guess.
Did you need a car?
Oh, gimmick. We don't know how it's transmitted. I may be immune to it or whatever you say, but maybe I can still infect people. I was in the kitchen the whole time.
Well, I'm not people, so maybe you won't contaminate me.
Oh no, the food.
Relax, we took care of that. It shouldn't be a problem anymore.
What if I do my old people?
And Gimmick would call by the audio system of the ship would call for the others to come to the medbay. Be like, I think Vito needs some help with some matters.
Nathan will, since he's already in the room with the elevator, will jump in the elevator.
Yeah, Pip and Zadriri will, I'm assuming, hear and make their way to the med bay as well.
Mm-hmm. Dia is probably gonna get out. She has a towel nearby. She come prepared, and she's gonna walk towards the med bay, drying herself off.
Nathan's also drying himself off because he's covered in sweat. Of course.
When you guys arrive, Zadriri will say, Pip filled me in on what's been going on. So I take it the blood tests didn't come out okay then? She looks a little concerned.
Vito's panicked. So
Dia's gonna
come on, all right.
Dia's
Gimmick,
gonna
what's going on here?
Oh no! Is Vito going to die? Pip asks.
Well,
How much the time does he have to live?
According to him, I'm okay. We don't know how it's being transmitted. Maybe I was in the kitchen the whole time, like I told him.
Vito, calm. What was her name? Kesh mentioned that it was via reproduction that it spread, like the genophage.
Well, wait. First off, I don't think that seems to be the problem. Like, honey, please use your words. What's going on?
I doomed my whole people. I was.
I believe you are overreacting a bit, but maybe I'm just not understanding the situation.
I'm just as lost as you are, Gimmick.
Okay, let me put it in my way of thinking. So you are not contaminated. You are contaminated by the virus, but you are not affected by its effects because you have something in your system that makes you different than the other Solarians.
And I should also mention,
Yeah.
Gimmick, that you would also technically Gimmick is all technically Vito is right. Technically he is what you would consider a carrier. So even though he's not affected by it, he's still carrying it.
Yeah. I also was thinking that maybe if Gimmick runs the test in all the other people that eat the food before, should I roll for that or something? Or because if it was made to target other people that are not, if it was made to target Solarians, I mean, and other people that are not the the target eat it, they should be carriers too.
You can
Isn't that right?
you can do some blood samples from everyone else if you'd like, for everyone who ate the food.
Nathan will provide a blood sample because might as
Okay.
well.
Deal will provide one.
I believe that would be sufficient to test this theory.
Pip will also give us blood sample. Zajeri kind of like looks a little uncomfortable when you start taking blood samples from people. She looks very uncomfortable.
Oh, she's scared of needles.
Oh, don't worry.
Nathan just kind of gives her a soft smirk. He kind of like raises his right arm, and like you kind of get used to needles after a time.
Well, you can think this as some kind of battle weapon, and yeah, maybe that will make you less scared of it.
Speak for yourselves, she says. Needles are creepy. You get a hit with a big giant blade or saw blade, that's one thing. But those itty little bitty things, I don't trust them.
Well-
Dia says, this is Jerry. Honey, please, just close your eyes. Close your eyes. Come on. Like, we're gonna close your eyes. I want to help her by covering her eyes, holding out her hand, and Dia's making the face of. Yeah, it's okay. Don't worry, honey. It's okay. It's okay. You're not gonna be touched by the needle.
So Zajeri, once we're finished here, you go. Nathan's going to actually try and distract her by conversating and be like, "So once we're done here, do you want to go play that game of pool?"
Pool would be great, she says. And at that point, is that when you inject
Yeah,
the sample?
we take
Ow!
that opportunity. It wasn't that bad.
Do it quick, do it quick, do it fast, do it fast! You're taking too long!
This is actually
Well, if you
painful
do
for
it
you?
faster, it will be bad for you. You
Say
may
that
feel
again.
dizzy afterwards.
Oh, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you after this.
Zajeri, you
Me?
do realize that that needle is literally the best thing that could be happening, because if you are a carrier, that means we're all carriers.
Well, at the end of the day, all that means is that we just can't have you know what with a Solarian.
Well, that won't really matter to you, Logan, because you can't have kids with Solarians. The rest of us can.
Well, I'm thinking like if it's in our blood, could it
Oh.
be spread by bodily fluids and all that?
Well, it was, if I remember correctly, it was a reproductive thing. So
Mhm.
maybe it's bodily fluids too, but we'll find out.
Yeah, you contract it via the food, but then it gets into your system and infects your blood cells, I would guess.
You can contract it through bodily fluids. It doesn't mean, which means that a carrier can make, for example, a partner a carrier as well. So if you have sexual relations with another being, it's possible that that being can also then become a carrier. It doesn't necessarily mean they'll be affected by it, but they can still be a carrier, if that makes sense.
So, like,
Oh.
if one of us was to have sex with some random with some random individual down the line, and they went ahead and had sex with a Solarian, then it spreads to Solarians.
Correct.
Mhm.
Correct.
Is this like a modification of the virus the Krogan are infected with? It's
So-
like the same type of thing?
It's
Even though the
related,
other one...
but it's not the
Oh.
same as the genophage. It's related, but it's not exactly the same.
If Salarians would start investigating how to fix this, would they, by making a cure for one, they would have made a cure for the other, or help develop a cure for the other? Yeah.
The thing is that like walking up to a Solarian and being like, "Hey, I'm infected with this disease, but it doesn't affect me or anybody else in the galaxy, but it'll affect you and probably end up causing your children to die horrible, painful deaths."
Oh, no.
That's not exactly the best way to, get something cured. Well, it might be the best way to get something cured because then they go, "Oh, I want to cure that because I don't want that spreading to my people." But at the same time, it's a Solarian. They'll want to know where we got it. How did we contract this disease?
Is gonna go up, put a hand on Vito's shoulder. Are you gonna be okay?
No.
Okay, let's just head to the kitchen for now, my dear. Okay, let's go sit down, eat something, relax, take some hot coffee.
I don't want to contaminate more stuff.
Then we just wash it with hot water.
I'm just gonna stay right here, right?
You do realize that
I've caused enough trouble for today.
you do realize, right, that you're going to have to explain this to Solaric, right?
I never know what to say. I am a historian. I'm a scholar. I've written papers. I've done speeches. But my mind's completely blank right now.
Well, you have all the time in the world to tell him, because it's not like we're going back tomorrow or anything. But Vito, you can't just lock yourself in a room and do nothing. The only way for you to spread this disease is for somebody to ingest your, bodily fluids. So
That can also mean saliva, blood.
yes, don't get shot. That's my advice.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
maybe you have some friends who we can contact who can keep this quiet when they attempt to find a cure, if there is one. Because I hope there is one. Because I kind of want to have kids at some point.
Well, you can have kids, but they just...
Well, they that will spread to them, which means
Yeah.
that I will have to tell my kids and their kids and their kids and their kids, you cannot sleep with a Solarian because you will give them this horrendous disease. It's like, being infected with AIDS back in the 21st century.
Well, we should probably send this then to our Chief Arcara. Let her know that most likely everyone who's eaten Otto's food in every restaurant ever, because it's not just us. If Vito's infected, that means we are all infected. And that means all of them are too.
Well, they did say that it was only controlled, that they hadn't actually brought it anywhere else yet. It is just the one on Tachanka.
Yes, but there are other people eating that restaurant besides us.
Yes, which means that everyone who ate there the day that we ate there, including, what was her name? Midri?
Yeah,
what was her name?
We're all
Yes,
Meridian.
she's infected too. Meridi's probably infected too.
we're all infected basically.
Shit.
Wait,
So,
now that you mention it, is it safe to assume that they were working alone? I mean, they had a pretty big operation.
no,
Maybe
we
they
know that
have
they-
branches.
we know that they weren't working alone. They were working with the counter-revolutionaries. What was his name? Reeve's side. That was the one. So
Just to giving more information. So you ran the blood tests.
I rolled
Wow.
20.
Yes.
24.
You ran a blood test. So, the good news and bad news. Good news is, it seems like most races who come in contact with the Ravenophage, their antibodies naturally fight off the virus successfully, which means that they would not be carriers because their bloodstream would have killed off all the traces of the Ravenophage. So it looks like Dia is clean. It looks like Ruzadrari is clean, and Pip. Unfortunately, as what makes sense, because Vito has both Solarian and human DNA, and yet is still a carrier, then by virtue of that, Nathan, as a human, is not immune and is a carrier.
Nathan just sort of sits down. Well, there goes my plans.
It's okay, Nathan. At least you're not particularly desirable. And nobody would want to sleep with you, so you're fine.
Yeah, Nathan will be fine. He'll just die alone in a ditch somewhere. It'll be fine. No, Nathan just kind of sits down and he just kind of looks like he's thinking about things.
Well, we still should probably send this to Chief Akara information.
Well, at least we know
Do you
it's
need
only
a
human.
hack too?
At least we know it's human and Solarians. Well, human DNA that makes you into a carrier. So that makes it a little easier for me, I guess.
Wait, we can all contact Chief Akara or no?
Chief Arcara will appreciate the information that you sent her. This, of course, complicates things a little bit. But basically, she'll let you know that they will make it a point to gather everyone who had eaten there and notify them of the condition. Fortunately, the vast majority of people who are at the restaurant are Krogan, and if Gimmick was to, look through the files, he will find out that Krogan are completely immune to this, obviously. So if any of this was introduced in their system, it would be destroyed by their bloodstream. Asari, it is questionable. However, because Asari, traditionally, when they mate, they don't really... They mate mentally, not physically. So... it might be a non-issue to them. So yeah.
Nathan will also forward this information to Shias in an attempt to put out a little feeler and see if she can find some group of people who could get a cure.
Let's
'Cause, you know-
roleplay that. Are you just gonna email it, or are you gonna actually call her up?
I'm going to call her up, probably in the med bay, still not wearing a
Okay.
shirt.
Okay.
Dia will just cover him with her towel.
It's too small.
You will call, she will answer. Why, hello, Mr. Callahan, darling. I trust that you are calling to tell me that you've succeeded in recruiting Mr. Kowalin.
We've run into a complication, Miss Lazine. And
Oh,
unfortunately, it has
complications.
nothing to do. Fortunately, it has very little to do with Qualin. It has a lot to do, however, with a sect of Krogan who thought it would be fun to invent a new disease, shall we say.
Oh, of course they did. What kind of disease is this?
It is a disease that well, as I was told, I'm not a very sciencey person, it heightens metabolism for Solarians, causing them to die quicker than they usually even do. It can often cause mutations and such. And it worked. We saw the unfortunate souls who were being tested on. And, well, luckily for us, some things have come up where we don't have to worry about that due to the fact that we're immune and most of the people who found themselves contaminated with this disease are in fact immune in the sense of they can't actively carry or transmit this disease. But unfortunately, we've discovered that human DNA causes them to become a carrier. And as you can imagine, this is quite troubling to me.
That is most disturbing. Ugh.
I apologize
it's-
for the inconvenience, but I didn't really know who else to turn to.
The Krogans seem to be brewing up more problems more trouble than they can handle. What a surprise.
Well, at least it wasn't the counselor, the Solarian counselor who got infected. Speaking of which, I got to talk to him. Very nice fellow.
Yes, he is quite nice. I had heard that there was something going on with Solarians on that planet. I didn't realize that it was happening during this time.
Well, luckily we were there. Nobody outside of myself or Mr. Pix, who is also immune due to unknown circumstances. I will send you along all that information.
Mr. Pix is immune. Now, this is interesting. Why would Mr. Pix be immune to such a thing?
Tia is like
Apparently, Vito has human DNA woven into his own,
Really?
which makes him a carrier, of course, due to proxy, basically.
Really? That is very interesting.
The thing
She pauses for a moment.
you can imagine why I've contacted you about this, because I was hoping you could do me a favor and find a cure, because I don't like the idea of spreading this disease in my offspring or via my bodily fluids with anybody else. Now, I don't know if I can spread it to, as far as we know, Reloy, Vorcha, Krogan, Turians, they all can't carry this disease at all. But humans can. So, it would be, I would be very appreciative if you could find somebody who could be very discreet about, researching a cure and getting myself and Mr. Pix all cleaned up, shall we say.
Oh, trust me. I trust me when I say that it would definitely be in many people's best interests for us to find a cure for such a thing.
I shall send you along the details. My DNA test is in there. Vito's is, as is the 3 other people who we have DNA tests from.
If there is any way for Vito's a tissue sample, perhaps from Vito, could be sent, that could expedite the process.
I shall ask him.
Oh, is that Shia on the phone? Hi, Shia.
Hi, well, is that Gimmick? Hello, darling, Gimmick. How are things on the ship? Does it maneuver as smoothly as I hope it does?
Oh, yeah, the ship, it goes fine, but I believe we need to work things out as a group first if we wish to solve any problems with the galaxy.
Yes. Please do get to your initial mission as quickly as you can. Of course, there are some very timely things, it seems, that need to be taken care of in the meantime. Don't you worry, I will be working on that in parallel. Just send me the tissue sample and we will see what we can get accomplished.
I'm assuming...
Anything we should be informed about? Oh, anything we should be... Yeah.
Yes, we may have a lead as to how to at least give us an opportunity to start getting images from from the Trebius system.
Oh,
I am currently making some arrangements right now to see if we can get in contact with Mr. Salovera.
that's nice. Okay, I will let you talk with Nathan alone because I guess it's bad manners to intervene in a conversation like this. Okay, bye.
So,
Is there anything else, Nathan, before I go? I have to. I'm afraid I have a appointment at to get my brows done.
no, but I do have a question. If you've got any information on what happened to the owner of my team, he vanished just after he gave me tickets to the Lightning Rail, and there's been a missing persons report on him ever since. I was just wondering if there was any information on him.
Unfortunately, there does not seem to be any information that has been dug up on the whereabouts of your owner.
Okay, thank you. I've sent along the tissue sample. I've sent along the blood test reports. We will get to Koalan right after we finish our phone call with you, I guess.
My thank you for the update, and good luck to you as you try to find and recruit Koalan. I must warn you, though, Nathan, that as a Justicar, he might need some convincing to join the group.
His homeworld has been separated from the rest of the galaxy. I'm pretty sure that's a pretty decent incentive.
You underestimate, though, the code of the Justicar. They're supposed to set aside personal feelings when it comes to their missions.
Well, we'll see how it goes. If it means we have to finish his mission for him, then, well, we're here anyway.
She will nod, and she will wave, "Ta-ta for now, darlings. Good luck."
Thank you, and hang up. Well, that's an interesting conversation I didn't expect to have today.
Zadriri kind of leans forward and says, "Do you think it was wise to let her know about the whole human DNA thing?"
I don't think that was a good idea.
Nathan kind of just shrugs.
And-
Probably would have found out sooner or
Wait,
later
wait.
anyway.
Out of character, you told.
Yeah,
I told Shias about what was happening, and I'm like, "Oh, Vito's immune too," and we found out why. And blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
Now, you don't have the tissue sample from Vito yet, so you're going to have to, I don't think you can do that without him knowing about it. But
well, we're all
So
in the same room, right?
yeah, we're
Yeah.
all in the med bay.
Yeah, so you know about it.
Yeah, you know about this. He told Shias while you were otherwise inoperable.
maybe Vito was in the bathroom again at the time.
Yeah.
Vito just got back to the bathroom.
He's
He
probably
needed
just
to throw up.
violent. Are you serious?
She was gonna
He just-
find out sooner or later.
My computer just decided to blue screen at me while it was restarting. Why is
Again?
it like this? Again, I just click restart, and it blue screens.
Might be
Anyway,
time to,
yeah.
Yes, she was gonna find out either way. If I told her, "Oh, Vito's infected and he's dying," then all of a sudden you're immune to it. You would have found out.
Well, we could have
True.
just told her.
But-
I don't know if it was the wisest to tell her, nor tell her without Vito doing it.
Well, sorry for taking that choice away from you, Vito, but at least we have somebody investing in a cure right now, so that's something we can look up at, I guess.
I guess.
Hey, if it's cured, you don't have to worry about telling Solaric.
Yeah, I just.
That's not a good mindset. I think you should tell him no matter what.
Probably.
I will. I just.
If you need some moral support.
I mean, at the very least, we know that Turians can't actually carry this disease, So
It's true. So he's not at risk.
yeah.
It's
Well,
good.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go take a shower and get ready to head out because we need to go find Qualan.
Do you want some ice cream and coffee now?
Maybe not coffee, but
Okay, ice cream it is.
ice cream I think I can manage, yes.
Cool. And Nathan will vanish off for a shower.
Is anything else happening that morning?
Oh, I want
There's
to.
also Nathan does owe Zedreri a game of pool. Like he was like, "Oh, will we play some pool after this?" But all of a sudden things changed. So
Mhm.
So you're not playing pool after this again.
I think.
if Zedreri approaches him for a game of pool while we're waiting for everyone to set up, he will.
Yeah, Zedreri will actually say, "That's the second time you've turned me down on a game of pool, Nathan."
Hey, when we're on the way back from the Citadel, we can play all the pool we want.
I think you're just very nervous about striking balls with me.
Zedreri, you do realize how incredibly enticing that offer sounds, right?
Well, I'm just pointing it out that, as you said, I'm immune.
Damn. I appreciate the forwardness. So,
She says, "Oh, relax," she says, laughing. "At this moment, I still have Otto's contact information, so you're safe for now."
safe, hey? I don't think I'm ever safe from you, Zedreri.
That's what I've been told, she says with a shrug.
Well, while we're waiting for everyone else, why don't we play some pool? Not like everyone else needs to take a shower and everything else anyway, so.
Sure. You guys can go ahead and play some pool. I think Gimmick said he wanted to do something.
Yeah, I wanted to ask if there was any other surprises in anyone else's blood.
I'm trying to think if there's any surprises anyone else has
Yeah.
played.
It's like,
I don't think so.
Okay. At least not that we should know about now. Maybe something you wouldn't see if you don't look at it exactly, like something that would pass the scans.
I don't, roll a separate
Oh.
medicine check.
Oh shit, there is something in these remembrance. Hey guys, I think Nathan taps delirium.
Nathan has nanites in his bloodstream. Don't ask questions.
Nathan and Vito are actually brothers. Who knew?
That makes everything a whole lot more kinky.
Oh, God.
5? No.
That's a nat
No,
one.
anything else.
But I rolled a 20 before. Wait.
I
why
know.
That's
Okay.
a nat one. Talk about your karma.
The 20 was specific to stuff around the Ravenophage.
Yeah.
So I wanted you to roll about something separate.
Right.
So
Gimmick was too preoccupied by the call with someone doing that he didn't pay attention to the blood sample that much.
So while I'm waiting for everybody else, what should I roll to see if I beat Zedreri in pool?
I don't know.
Intellect?
Would that be dexterity?
Sure.
Intellect?
Is it
Pool is
dex
more about
save or-
intellect.
Pool is more about intellect, so I would say intelligence.
Boy.
Well, I think there's part intelligence and part dexterity, so whatever. 16?
Oh, wow, that's a flat 16 right there.
Oh,
wow.
my. Natural 20.
Yeah, damn.
Yeah, okay. So she rolled in. So she completely. I think she actually surprised herself by how much she actually nailed that particular game of pool. I don't think she even expected to be as good as she did.
Nathan will give her a golf clap and just nod in approval. That was damn good.
She says, I impress myself sometimes.
Don't we all?
Dia currently is making a really nice and sexy looking bikini for Sajari so that she can make use
Okay.
of in her
Okay.
communications with Otto or whoever other guy she has on the side.
Side chicks. Side dudes, in fact.
Basically. So she's just like working on that right now.
Well, Sajari will ask Nathan. So while you're playing another game, she'll say, "So how are you feeling about everything that just happened in the med bay?"
To be honest with you, Zedari, I'm terrified. I've been terrified these last few months. I've been scared before, but this is way above my head.
Well, it doesn't affect you personally.
Well, sure, but it's waking up and being told, "Oh, you have a disease," isn't exactly the nicest thing in the world. How best do I put this? I don't like putting other people at risk. I'd prefer to be at risk myself. So if Gimmick told me, "Oh, you're infected and you're probably going to die in the next 10 years," I'd be like, "All right, at least it's just me." But
Fair
no.
enough. I guess that's fair. Us Vorcha, we're known to be very resilient when it comes to things. We get in contact with a lot of very nasty diseases over time. None of them particularly are serious enough to actually kill any of us, although they can be very fatal and deadly with other races.
I'm at a stage where I've kind of just let go. I don't really have anything holding me back anymore. I don't have family. I don't have friends outside of you guys. I don't have any reason to, stick around, really. So,
Do you have any reason to believe that being a carrier would really affect very many people? I know that everyone likes to joke around about how people seem to throw themselves at you all the time, but how much of a player are you actually, Nathan Callahan?
I was with one woman for 6 years. I've never been with anybody else.
Really? That's surprising.
Well, there was this one guy back on Grissom Academy. That was it, really. Didn't go much further than a bit of hand-holding and kissing, though. So, don't know if that
Why
counts
not?
or not. I got drafted, and things just didn't work out.
So if it seems like you're not necessarily sleeping around all the time, what's the worry? I guess I don't understand that.
I want to have kids at some point, and I don't want to tell those kids to not love somebody because of what they could do to them. I don't want to have a son and have him or her, have a son or a daughter or whatever, fall in love with a Solarian and me tell them you can't actually do that because you're infected with this disease that I carry because I ate food once. I'm not thinking about this. This doesn't, as you said, this doesn't affect me. It affects my kids, their kids after, on and on and on and on. So
I can understand that. That shouldn't stop you from having them anyway.
sure, maybe at some point I'd like to have a few kids, but right now, that option isn't really on the list because I'd rather have this thing cured or at the very least repressed. If they can repress it to only infect me, then I'm fine with that. It's not like it'll do anything.
She sinks another ball into one of the pool holes, and then she gives herself a yes. And then she moves around and she asks another question and says, "So what exactly is your type, Nathan Callahan?"
That's a question I don't usually ask myself, to be honest, because
You tricked me into getting a needle stuck into my arm, so I think you owe me at least an answer.
okay, Okay, Zidreri, I see you. All right, yeah. I guess I'll give you an answer. I like people who are honest with me and themselves. I like tall, short, skinny, fat, slim, well built. Body type. Body type has always been more of a a subjective thing to me, but I guess I have always had kind of a pull towards more physically fit people. I guess because it kind of it just sort of resonates with me. Eyes are actually one of the most attractive things to me. Um, Strange, unique colors, or different shape of irises. A smile is actually one of the things that really intrigues me. My type, my type. I can't really give you a type in the sense of I can't tell you, I like this particular type of person because, I've not really dated a lot of people.
What you say makes a lot of sense. You say you value honesty. That is rare, even more so than it's more rare to run into someone honest than it is to run to someone who's very physically fit. And it makes sense why you favor the eyes a lot because of that desire for honesty. It's far easier for the mouth to lie, but the eyes, it's tough for the eyes to lie and not tell you the real truth behind them.
Nathan, like, leaning over the pool cue and looking into hers, say, do mine lie to you often?
She stops for a moment.
Nathan has
and
these
she
deep
looks...
green hazel eyes. So
she tilts her head a little bit, and then she's about to. It looks like she moves in very, very, very close to take a deep look into your eyes, and then she gets really, really close, and she says, "Excuse me, you're in the way of my shot."
Yes.
Nathan gives her that always winning smirk he has. Says, you know something, Zajeri? I think you're my type.
She says, "Really now?" And she doesn't really seem to flinch when you say that. She says, "Really now?" And she leans over to tap the cue ball to hit another ball. And she says, "Are you getting jealous after Dia's trying to fix me up with Otto?"
I'd like to point out that I'm the one who literally knocked Otto off his feet.
This is true. That is very true. I've had a lot of people tell me that they were my type, Nathan Callahan. None of them ended well.
I'm sorry to hear that.
She doesn't really respond to that as her last shot misses. And then she motions you to go.
Nathan will set himself up and clink one into a corner pocket. So you've probably guessed that I'm not a very... How do I put this? I've found myself in a variety of situations over the last 25 years, as you well know. But you recognized me on the train. Did you recognize Dia?
She says, "Honestly, no. But then again, Dia was not Dia when I saw her last."
Yeah, that was Logan. Dia on my back when I met you. Well, meeting you is not really a term I'd use. I ran into you in that convenience store. Logan was the Turian strapped to my back who I pulled out of a laser.
I don't really know very much about Logan. Honestly, I haven't really interacted with Logan all that much this trip.
I don't think many of us have.
I think she prefers it that way.
Probably, to be quite honest.